Live on a Monday, a Minicamp Monday edition of Cleveland Browns Daily. I am merely Bo. Gibby is here. It's gloomy. I got to tell you.
Big shock.
Rained all day yesterday on my side of town. Rain all day today. It's like it's perpetually April.
Yeah.
But we're going to have real football. But this is awful. This weather is awful. Absolutely dreadful.
I mean, it stopped on my side of town yesterday, at least
Lucky
to get
you.
a little small ball in late day, but clearly not the case for you.
No, it was awful. Thank God I got out Saturday evening late. I got out. In fact, it's so gloomy that I could use any ray of sunshine, and perhaps we will now be speaking with the ultimate ray of sunshine, the great Dr. Z. And we have some breaking news.
Maybe.
Do we have it?
Boys? Am I on?
You're on. You're on. We're doing it live. We got some breaking news from the east side.
Live. Yes. Breaking news at 8:52 a.m. this morning. Luka Dragomir Zagura was born, 21 and a half inches, 8 pounds, 7 ounces.
Woo-hoo!
He's doing great. Mom's doing great. It was wild, man. It was a wild scene in there. So it was a scheduled C-section. Incredible. Incredible. He was out in 7 minutes.
What?
7 minutes. Yeah.
That's
7 minutes.
unreal.
He was ready to go.
That's insane.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Did you
Unbelievable.
watch?
He's doing great. So I ended up seeing more than I thought I would when the doctor moved, but he was right out there. They got him out, held him up like he was Simba, and he started crying, and then it was on. It was a beautiful thing.
Buddy.
It was a beautiful thing. Yeah. It's been
just-
awesome. The kids are here. Nana's here. Jack Hay's here.
Oh, my God.
Everybody's here.
How is
It's
he?
glorious.
I mean, how many books has he read already?
He is right now. He has been very chill. He's done a good job. He's chilling, smiling, sleeping. Everybody's held him. He's been really cool. So they handed him to me first because of the C-section, and so I got to hold him, and he was just so chill. Put my head right next to his head, right next to Kayla's head, and they got to kiss, and it was the cutest thing ever.
Oh, my God, dude. Congratulations to you and Miss Kay and all of it. I have to say, what was it like knowing you were having a baby at a certain time? Because your two older children
It
were
was very strange. That's what I said. I said when they were about to bring us back, it's like we're going to a store, and we're like, we're getting a baby at 7:30 in the morning. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a different experience. Obviously, when you know, we're coming in to have the baby. So we didn't sleep much last night. We were so excited, so much anticipation. They're making fun of me right now. So I'll give you one funny thing. So when little Zogs, when Luca, he was starting to get fussy and was ready to eat, I picked up the phone. This is a true story. And we don't know what to do. And I was like, hey, he's looking for some snacks. And they're like, excuse me? And I was like, hey, I think he's ready to start feeding. We need some help. So then they sent people down, which was great.
Yeah, he needs a Scooby snack. Come on.
I was like, hey,
Who doesn't like a little snoochie
I
boochie?
don't know what we're doing, but I think he's looking for snacks.
Oh, my God, buddy. This is – God bless you. God bless you. I know you got a lot there with everything.
We got a new Browns fan in the mix.
Oh, God, he's going to – all he's going to know is the dome. That's all he knows.
That's all he's going to know. Yeah, that's all he's going to know. Yeah.
God.
On a day where it looks like we unfortunately are losing Nicholas Jamal Chubb, at least we're gaining a Luka Dragomir Zagura. So I don't know if that's going to be even for a lot of people out there, but in my household, it's pretty good.
It's a win for us, buddy. Congratulations, all of the love to you, Little Z, Miss K, Nana, Boods, Ardendrea, the whole group. No love to Pedro; he gets none, but everybody else showered in love.
Wait a minute. What was the Pedro reaction today?
He's probably busy.
He's very excited. He's very excited. We'll see him. We'll see him when we see him, but he's.
No. This gives him a reason to come in on scholarship.
No.
I certainly hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I'd be happy to have him.
He's volunteering the scholarship.
Buddy, get back to your family. Congratulations. Thanks for giving us
Congrats,
the update.
buddy.
We'll meet him soon.
Oh, my God.
You got
I
it.
can't wait.
All right, guys. Bye.
There he goes. Big Z and now Little Z in the mix as well. Luka.
I like the Luka.
Strong. Yeah, that's awesome. You and I were talking, all of ours were, they were all natural, and they were all, they came kind of crazy. The two littles were really crazy. Beamsy, my wife didn't know her water broke on that one. And Bootsy, she was on bed rest for weeks, 6 weeks or something like that, maybe even longer, 3 months. But I cannot imagine like trying to go to sleep or trying to and knowing that like, well, tomorrow we're going to have a. That's such a good analogy you used about like I feel like we went to a store and we're coming home with a baby.
Yeah,
Wild.
We're gonna check in at this time to the hotel.
Yeah,
they're gonna give us a baby.
Yeah.
It's 7 minutes.
That's wild.
Didn't waste any time.
With Beamsy, we lived about 20 minutes from the hospital. We were in Dublin. Didn't even get to a delivery room. So that one was absolute chaos. But like, it's so amazing. Like, it's so amazing to hear him say like 7 minutes and away they go. That makes me so happy. I mean, that's awesome.
That's what Monica was telling me. Because I asked when Marissa was born, because I wasn't in the girls' lives till a little bit later on. I didn't have to change diapers till now. I got to change the grandbaby's diapers.
That's right.
Which are awful these days. But she was like, "Yeah, I went in, they induced, and 15 hours later." I'm
right.
Like,
you never know.
I don't. Yeah.
You never know.
No. It's. I can remember like my youngest nephew. My sister required an emergency. She was still working as a labor and delivery nurse and pushing gear, and actually ruptured some things, and like didn't realize that she had internal. It was a touch and go for both of them for a while. But like the older one, like I was going to be an uncle for the first time.
Yeah.
I'm down in Columbus, NCAA tournament. My buddy hosts a watch party all weekend. I mean, we're tying one on, whatever,
sure you are.
Having a great day. Like Saturday morning, I woke up and my brother-in-law texted me and he was like, FYI, we're on the way to the hospital. This is like 8 o'clock in the morning. Like, I wanted to be there.
Yeah.
I am god-awful hungover. And I'm like, I got to get in the car. I got to go. I'm not sure
71 North. Let's go.
Totally okay.
Jeez.
I think we're good. I'm going to need a lot of Dr. Pepper, some caffeine. I'm going to drive with the windows down. It's March. Don't really care. And I got there, and I walked in, and, like, the chimes rang.
Yeah.
She had just had the baby.
Oh, my God.
My timing was impeccable.
Yeah, it's such an awesome time. I mean, as any of you out there with kids know, like, honestly, I thought this stuff was all pretty easy. Like this newborn stuff, this is all pretty easy. It really doesn't get hard until like 15 months when they're like mobile and not really able to articulate. That's when it gets a little hard. There's like a 6-month stretch. But other than that, it's all awesome, man. I'm thrilled for them. You can, Kev, how old's yours?
2 now.
2. Yeah, so you're just through the hardest stretch, I think.
Yeah, just through that. And actually our induction process took 36 hours, and it only ended because the epidural failed twice, and we had to go in for an emergency C-section. He got stuck. Actually.
What? My God, dude! Epidural failed twice.
Yes. Yeah.
God bless you.
God bless her.
God bless
and
my
her
wife.
and your wife. Yeah, right. Absolutely.
Just so happens talking about this, and happy birthday to her today.
Happy birthday.
She's absolute best. You know?
There you go. Yeah, and the little man cruising 2 years in. Also, by the way, Dr. Z multitasking. So not only do we get that, but then he also gives a little hint of the news, and we stare right at him. And there's nothing official yet on this.
No.
But Nick Chubb is expected to sign a 1-year deal with the Texans today, pending a physical. Look, there is one illuminated mural in this building on this floor, and it's of Nick Chubb. It sits right across from our studio here. Nick Chubb has been on this show a handful of times. He is, anytime Kevin Stefanski was asked, like essentially perfect football player, Nick Chubb is the answer. He's the perfect football player. He was the perfect Cleveland Brown. I think he was probably, I mean, you would know better than me because you grew up here. To me, he feels like if you do a list of most popular Browns since Bernie, he's on it. And he's absolutely on it. And I think he's probably is beloved. I mean, it's him, it's Hoff, I think Miles, and then Bernie. I mean, he is so beloved and absolutely should be. And it's interesting because he had as good a start to a career as a running back as anybody has ever had. The 5 yards a carry, it's like him and Jim Brown. I mean, there's just nobody who does that, and he did it every year for 5 years. And then that tragic injury in Pittsburgh derailed it. He was on a path for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. I mean, he had a 5-year run that was heading that way, and had he gotten 6-7 years out of it, who knows? And then that injury happens, and it was just such a significant injury. and you just don't know if he'll ever get back. Had the setback again last year. But so many memories with him. Second-round pick in the 18 draft, 7 seasons with us, racked up 4 seasons with at least 1,000 yards and 8 touchdowns, 6,843 career rushing yards, 51 touchdowns, ranked 3rd in franchise history behind guys Leroy Kelly and Jim Brown. He really could have had 5 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and that's really – when I was thinking about this, Gibby, remember he went over 1,000 in that final game his rookie year.
Yeah.
And then was it a tackle for loss that pushed him back under it?
We stopped giving him the football.
Well, because Baker was trying to reset the rookie quarterback touchdowns accounted for record.
Yep.
And Freddie really wanted Bake to get that record, and we stopped. And I don't know, and I think Freddie even admitted this later, that he didn't realize he went under or that he was close. But nothing to me says Nick Chubb more than that. He didn't care.
No.
It didn't affect him in any way. Like, he finished 4 yards short of 1,000, 996 that rookie year. And by the way, he didn't play right away. They were hell-bent on Carlos Hyde to start the year before inevitably, finally John Dorsey took matters in his own hands and say, actually, we're going to play 24.
On a Friday going into, week 2.
Yeah, he's like, that's enough. We've had enough of this. But, yeah, I think of that. I think he's the epitome of everything you want a Cleveland Brown to be is Nick Chubb.
Absolutely. A guy that hated the spotlight.
Really did.
Media, every week when he came to talk at the podium, it was pulling teeth to get him to go to the podium.
Yeah.
He never wanted the spotlight on him. It was never about him. I don't think he disliked the media.
No.
I just think that the media wasn't his thing. I think he just wanted to play football.
That's it.
He was an unbelievable locker room guy. Mm-hmm. I cannot stress it enough. And if you talk to people that have played here with him, they would tell you that. Like, he was the consummate professional. He was the consummate team player. Mm-hmm. Would do anything to help. I go back to the video that I think we put out, or NFL Films, one of the two, and it's Odell Beckham sitting next to him, goes, I want another touchdown. And Nick Chubb saying, I want to win.
Yep, that's it.
Like, that should tell you all you need to know about both those situations.
Yeah, that's all he cared about.
That's all Nick Chubb cared about. He just wanted to win games. And I mean, he had some unbelievable moments. And he was a big reason why, we've been able to go on a little bit. And we've gone to the playoffs. Mm-hmm. He's been a pretty big part of it.
He was you understood that you hear consummate professional, unbelievable locker room guy, and you could build an offense around him. There was a stretch where he was the best running back in football. Like, truly, it was him and Derrick Henry, but there was a little stretch where it felt like he passed Derrick Henry as the best running back in football. Like, he had that in him. He was better out of the backfield than he was given credit for. One of the things I'm always very appreciative when we talk about Nick Chubb is I'm so glad that somehow that him and Kareem got to share the backfield together, because I don't know if those two people would have ever crossed paths any other way, but they did, and I always felt like Kareem got the best out of Nick, and Nick got the best out of Kareem.
Yep.
It was interesting watching. I think back to those two together, and how many times have you seen Nick Chubb legitimately light up and smile? Not a lot, because that's just not as, to your point earlier about him with media and public in general. He's not that type of guy. He just really loved playing football, and that was his focus. But Kareem could break him. And that relationship with the two of them was something that was very, very cool. And then when he got hurt and Kareem came back to fill those shoes, was so cool. I mean, he's just – there have to be more 24 jerseys in this town than any number. I mean, over the last 5-6 years. I mean, there were a lot of 6s, obviously, for a while. But, yeah, I mean, it's just going to be strange and unwelcoming to see him in something other than our uniform.
Yeah, and one has to wonder if he doesn't have that horrific injury in Pittsburgh.
Oh, gosh.
What happens with his career? He's probably still here, I would think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's unfortunately there's too many questions and not enough answers. And, this team's got a lot of vets at a high price, and we have to be selective on the guys that we're bringing in. And you had a bad feeling when we took the 2 rookies, when we drafted them, that maybe Chubb's days were numbered. I mean, I think we all still hope that he would come back and he would be a fantastic mentor in that room. But I think he's got bigger thoughts than that. Like he wants to come back. And if anybody can come back, it's him.
Yeah.
The question is, can he come back at the level that he once was? I mean, he was the Voice's favorite player. There's no question. Like his work ethic and everything about him. Donovan loved everything. Same with Deke. I mean, that's both of them on countless occasions. If there were only 53 Nick Chubbs on this team,
I don't think that there is. I think you would be hard-pressed to find anyone in this town, in this organization, a former teammate, who would utter anything other than effusive praise of Nick Chubb, let alone anything negative. That doesn't exist. There is no negative.
No.
None. Not a word of negative, ever. Name that. Any other player who's come through here, there's usually, oh, yeah, but he's kind of a punk on this. Nick Chubb has nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing but greatness the whole time he was here, and it's undone in just the craziest way with that injury, and it is one of the great unknowns and what ifs, sliding doors moments, however you want to call it. Quite honestly, though, I guess, and as I get older, I find myself doing this more and more. At least I'm attempting to do this more and more. I'm thankful for what we got, not what we didn't. Because if you think about Nick Chubb and what happened to him at Georgia and the significance of that injury. It was an uphill thing already. So he came here with a significant injury, and we got 5 years of the closest thing that this organization has seen since Jim Brown. And there were moments when you'd go, God, it looks just like it. I mean, like just the dominance, the way that he went about his business, the 5 yards a carry for 5 years, all of it. Like I think back to a generation that got to watch Jim Brown play, and I'm just thankful that folks here got to see Nick Chubb play for those years because he was that level of player while he was here.
Absolutely. And we mentioned the running for 1,000 yards, his rookie year. Freddie was the interim OC. Greg Williams was the head coach at the time. The following year with Freddie, they screwed him out of the rushing title.
Oh, that's right.
Final game in Cincinnati. He needs like 60 yards.
That's right.
And they don't run the football.
That's right.
And then Derrick Henry, that's all Tennessee did was give Henry the ball like 40 times.
Oh, my gosh, I forgot about that.
So he could get it. Because we were like, if he gets 60 yards, Derrick Henry's got to have like a 200-yard game.
Yeah, I do. Now I do remember that.
We didn't give him the ball.
We didn't give him the ball.
I think that was a situation. I mean, ultimately, a few hours after we got back, Freddie is out of a job, and a couple days later, John Dorsey's out. But it was one of those things where I can remember Donovan on the bus ride to the plane just going, how do we not run the ball? The Bengals didn't want to play that game. I think they had a bad year.
No.
They didn't want to play in that game. We just had to run the football.
Yeah.
We run the football and all as well. And then, like, the moments in 2020, I think it was the Philly game where he's running down the sideline and steps out. And then after the game, so the Browns would keep the ball. And at the end, in the post-game locker room, he said, I should have stayed inbounds and just fell down.
Yeah.
Just that's the kind of guy he was. He wasn't worried about scoring.
No.
He wanted to win football games. And he was such a big part of what we did in 2020 during COVID.
Yes, he was.
And then the win over the Steelers in the playoffs. The fact that he got to do that, and we got to watch it, and we got. I mean, what's a running back's average life in the NFL?
Oh God!
I mean, he's 29.
He's 29, man.
Played 7 years here. We were lucky enough to see, and when he came back, and
well, think about that rookie year. Remember that was week. I've just pulled it up. I just wanted to be right on this because everyone remembers the long run his rookie year against Oakland.
Yeah.
He only had 3 carries in that game. 3 carries. This was Nick Chubb's carries through the first 6 weeks of that season, and he ended up with 996 rushing yards, okay? So these were his carries. 3 in week 1, 2 in week 2, 2 in week 3, 3 in week 4 for 105 and 63, 3 in week 5, 3 in week 6, and then it's nuts. Then it's 18 for 80, 18 for 65, 22, 85, 20 for 176 against Atlanta. Remember that one?
Oh, that was a
28
fun
for
game.
84. 20 for 100, 19 for 112. Then it was on after that point. But there's so many of those games that you remember, those runs. Had a monster game at Baltimore in the 2019 season. A game we won 40-25. How about this? 20 carries, 165, and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
In that one in Baltimore.
And he was the best player on the field.
Yes, he
between
was.
the two teams. It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that we didn't trade. I thought for whatever reason we traded
later.
Hyde.
I think it was later in. I think it was later into
I thought
the
it was
season.
like 3 games in.
No, I think it was a little further along. The stretch he's got, the 2020 stretch with the COVID, he's got a stretch of 124, 108, 126, 114, 144, 5 out of 6 games where that's no big deal.
Yeah, October 19th, 2018, Browns traded Hyde to Jacksonville. It was on a Friday.
Yeah.
Dorsey said enough's enough.
Oh, my God, he was incredible in the 20 – what year is this? This is the 21 season where he had the monster game. He had 161 in that loss to the Chargers. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, 161.
Should have won that game. I think that was in Los Angeles.
It was, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, back and forth.
137 and 2 touchdowns and a 41-16 win over the Bengals in 2021.
I think that's when he ran to the river.
It is. Yep. And
Was
then
that in-
No, that was here.
Okay.
Oh, no, that was down there. That was down there.
He ran to the river.
Yeah.
Is he in the river? He's in the
It's
river.
in the river. Yeah, the great Donovan. That's so good. Yeah, there's so many of these moments with him. He was so explosive. It was just so crazy to see somebody with his size be as explosive as he was. His start to the 22 season, this is his career best year, 15-25. 22 for 140, 141 in a win at Carolina. 17 for 87 and 3 touchdowns against the Jets, 23 for 113, 19 for 118, 17 for 134. That's his first 6 games of the year.
Yeah.
Just a monster. Absolute monster player. Best dude ever. And then he was off to a hell of a start before the injury in Pittsburgh. He had 106 and a win against Cincinnati in the opener. Then we lose at Pittsburgh 26-22. He had 10 carries for 64, and that was it.
And when he went down,
knew
that was awful.
I remember you guys. That was one of those ones where you guys couldn't see it. I was texting Z, and I'm like, dude, it's so much worse because I was watching it and I had you guys on, and you guys couldn't get an angle of it. You could hear.
Correct.
And then they played a replay, and then
on the scoreboard.
Yeah.
That's how we were able to see it.
But yeah, there was no. I'm like, it's done. It's so much worse than you even realize. And then you think about like him coming back and leading the team out, and that ovation. I was in the stadium that game, and that wasn't that him coming out and Jim with the guitar. Pittsburgh. Yeah. I took the kids to that game to see all of that.
Yeah.
I remember. Yeah.
That was the return of both of them.
It was the return of Nick Chubb and then the return of Jim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's an all-timer. I mean, he's an all-time Brown.
He's always going to be a Brown.
Yeah.
I know he's going to Houston most likely, which I'm a little. There's Mixon already in that room. They have a pretty loaded room, but.
Yeah, I just think you're 29 and it's multiple surgeries, and it's just
people want to see that you can still do it before.
Yeah. There were rumors a couple months ago about Chicago, a lot of Chicago stuff a couple of months ago that I was hearing, and they ended up drafting a running back. And so, look, it's just hard. He's going to go have to overcome a lot of odds. No one will be rooting harder for him than we all will, and hopefully he can have one more last kind of run in the sun, because he is everything you'd ever want. He really is, and you're right. He'll be a Brown forever. A lot of our guys go play other places at some point, but I would be shocked if his number's not in the Ring of Honor at some point, and all the stuff that goes with it. Browns Hall of Fame, all of that stuff. So, Yeah, he's an all-timer. One other thing to pass along, happy birthday, 42nd to Josh Cribbs.
You know, he's only 42.
Just a kid.
Thought he was
just a wee lad.
Thought he was up there with me, but
that's right. That's right.
Not the case.
All right, we have mandatory minicamp, and it starts. It's on now. In fact, as I was walking over here this morning across the street, I want to say I saw Flacco in a golf cart, fully dressed in uniform for pictures or videos or something.
So here's how today goes. Guys are reporting. They're going over nutrition stuff. If they haven't been here, physicals, laying out the plan for the week. There's a number of things going on, meeting with coaches and whatnot. But more importantly, this is considered our internal media day. So you're going to start seeing a lot from our social media platforms if you haven't already. In addition, like when you're in the Huntington Bank field on Sundays and you're watching the scoreboard and you're seeing get excited and the players, whooping it up and hollering and everything, that's being done right now across the street.
Yep.
Peek behind the curtain. Everything's going on. So normally it's a multi-day process. It's all being done in one day. So I did see number 95 here already.
There you go. Yeah.
So team meeting is, I want to say 5:15.
Okay. So then
everybody's got to be here by 5:15.
Yeah. And so, if you're driving down Lou Groza, you may just see like a player in a golf cart zip over.
Everything's they're being zipped back and forth. There's headshots going on with Starkey in the field house and some other medical stuff and whatnot. And tomorrow it all starts for real. They're in the building at 8 a.m. And
when are the practice times tomorrow?
Tomorrow 11:30 we're on the field.
Okay,
and we'll be all up right around our showtime.
Nice.
Yes.
That'll
we'll
be
have
fun.
Numerous guys in here throughout the weeks, coaches as well.
There you go. Those are your hot topics today, presented by University Hospitals, official healthcare partner of your Cleveland Browns. We'll give you 5 things we're looking forward to in mandatory minicamp coming up next. We're off and running on a Monday edition. The day of Luka Zagura's birth, mind you. Little Z is in the mix, baby. This is a big day. It's a big Monday here on the program. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. No young Buckeye fan in the making. Join the Junior Browns Backers, the official kids club for kids ages 4 to 12, presented by University Hospitals, Rainbows, Babies, and Children's, in association with Cardinal Credit Union, joined by June 8th, yesterday. To score an invite to the first event of the season, Field Day, visit juniorbrownsbackers.com to join now. You can still join it, but I would imagine
the deadline
is passed.
Yeah.
Is probably the way that goes.
Interesting.
Yep. All right, Minicamp. Minicamp. Look, it's all going to be quarterbacks. It's all going to be like one. If we're doing a top 5 things we're looking forward to, 1 through 5 is going to be the quarterbacks. But if we just settle on them as one, to me, they're 2 separate quarterback things I'm going to have my eye on. I'm curious where you are with this. I'm going to watch, obviously, the 2 rookies first and foremost. But I kind of almost put Pickett with them because he's the same age as Dylan. He's a year older than Dylan. Obviously, he's got 25 starts in the league, so that's a big step up. But this is a player that we wanted to acquire. He's the presumptive favorite and starter for everybody in here and everybody around in the building. And so how does he handle that? My guess is him and Joe will take the majority of the first-team reps, which has been the case throughout camp, although Pickett's gotten more than Joe. Dylan did get some ones last week at OTAs, so I'm curious where that goes. But I almost view like Pickett, Gabriel, Sanders kind of in a similar boat, and then Flacco's kind of his own entity. I mean, we know.
Flacco knows how to do this.
He knows how to do this.
He can walk through the next 3 days with his eyes closed.
Yeah, and Joe wants his reps. I get it. Everybody's going to want their reps.
Sure.
But I think how Kevin kind of separates those reps is going to be really fascinating. And then who works with who is what I'm always interested in. Who are you working with? I think that's a really important distinction.
Well, and if we're going 2 fields at the same time to get everybody reps and snaps, which 2 quarterbacks are together, which 2 might not mean anything.
No.
But
I think everything matters.
There's a reason why those 2 are paired and those 2 are paired. Who's paired up? So, I mean, I'm interested in that. I'm really fascinated with what we're trotting out at wide receiver.
Yeah.
I mean,
Cedric Tillman needs to be a dude.
And Cedric Tillman didn't practice during availability last week on availability day. So your best ability is your availability. And he's completely recovered from the concussion last year, but it cost him 6-7 games.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to see that young man on the field. I want to see what he's doing. Who's after him on the pecking chart?
No idea.
Exactly.
I think it's wide open. I mean, David Bell's there. They still got guys there. But, yeah, I mean, I guess that's why I would not be surprised if that room was not added to. We've talked about the Packers and their situation, and then they cut Jair Alexander today, released him. So we have kind of we have a lot of corners, and we love all those guys, but we have a lot of corners. They have a lot of receivers. Is there some sort of middle ground there? Because I mean, Cedric Tillman needs to be a legit number 2 receiver. And in his career, you're talking about a guy, he's in 2 years is 50 catches for 563 and 3 touchdowns in his career. So in 2 years. So he hasn't, that's in 25 games. So like he hasn't played that much now he's drafted. They loved him in the draft, but he's somebody who's got to really elevate. I think that receiver room is going to be really fascinating behind Jerry Jeudy, and I do think it's one that you could see something added to it based on what happens with cuts or if there's a trade. That would be the room where you could see it.
I'm also fascinated the O-line, like they're not in pads.
Yeah.
It's mandatory minicamp, but they're not in pads. But the question is, like, does O-line, D-line, do they go one-on-one? Do they have one-on-one battles, even though they're not in pads? I don't know how that goes or what that would look like. But if it is, it's one of my favorite drills to watch. Mm-hmm. Especially I want to see what DeJuan looks like.
Oh, yeah.
Now, coming off of his injury. He's been dinged up the first 2 years of his career. What is his situation? How's Jack Conklin look? And what does that offensive line look like?
You also have I mean, just stay in the offensive line. In addition to Dewad and Jack, you've got you're going to have new tackles behind him. No, Jed Wells isn't here anymore. Hudson's not here, so like you're going to have some other guys who are going to need to bounce in a little bit. And then in the interior of your offensive line, Zach Zinter, because you need to do a little future planning there as well. Luke Whippler back, missed all of last year, and
that's a big one. I think,
and he looked great. As an undrafted, he looked great in that year one, but missed year two. So, what does the interior of that offensive line look like going up against what should be the strength of this team, which is our defensive line? We've put a lot of resources into the defensive line and obviously in the cornerback room, but D-line especially. You got Biles, you have Mason Graham, Dallin. I mean, you got a lot of talent in there to wreak a little bit of havoc. So how do they hold up against that D-line? I think will be fascinating.
Yeah, I'm intrigued what the safety room looks like. And I can look at the safety room because if we're going to play 7-on-7 or 11-on-11 over the next couple days, gives us a chance to see what that room looks like from a coverage standpoint.
Yeah.
Like, you know what you get from Hickman and Delpit, but what do I got behind him? There's a couple vets. Coach Bonda was in here the other day. Had some big praise for some of the younger guys in that room. So I'm fascinated to see there. Going back to the offense, I want to know what that offense looks like with Kevin Stefanski back at the reins of it.
Well,
and with Tommy Rees. And not that you're going to see a ton, but I think you're going to get a glimpse of at least what the thought process is behind what they're putting together for fall.
Yeah, I mean, I think based on our roster makeup, and I think this goes to one of the other things you're looking at, which is how big of a weapon is Harold Fannin Jr., and what does how is he utilized? Because you can create mismatches on the perimeter, or you can create those mismatches out of the slot. You can do it running down the seams. That's where Chief comes into play. That's where Fannin can come into play. Is Fannin somebody that they move around? Does he start in tight, then move out to a slot?
Sure.
Does he go all the way outside sometimes? What does that look like? And I think, obviously, whatever success we have this year offensively is going to be built on the offensive line and the two backs, the two young, and Jerome. I mean, those three young backs. But I think most of us assume that Quinshon Judkins is going to get a pretty fair crack at this, and we saw him at Ohio State. They drafted him really high. Is he capable as a second-rounder of being in the vicinity? I'm not putting the Nick Chubb thing on him. It's too much for anybody. But is he able to be in the vicinity production-wise of what Nick was when he was here during that rookie year when he ran for 996 and 5 yards a carry? If he can be in the vicinity of that, then you're on to things.
I like Jerome, and Jerome's had some big plays for us.
Yes,
but
yeah.
I need a guy that defenses go to bed worried about.
Yeah.
The night before a game, a DC's not sleeping. We have that at wide receiver with Judy. At tight end with Njoku? Yeah, okay. And if Fannin turns out to be that guy as well, and you got to deal with two of them, yeah, okay, I could see that. But who's in the backfield?
Yeah.
Who's keeping me up at night? And that part is like Nick Chubb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Who's gonna make me have to game plan and think about putting an extra safety in the box?
Yeah.
Which leaves wide receivers open and tight ends open.
Yeah, should be able to. I think you're going to one guy who's I think is going to appoint himself very well in this is rookie Carson Swessinger. Obviously, we're going to be on the rookies a lot with Graham and Swessinger, the first two picks, both on the defensive side, and then Judkins after that. So I think Swessinger's a guy who's going to thrive in this type of defense that Jim Schwartz wants to play, and my hunch is he looks very good. But to put this all, bring it all for full circle, it's quarterback, and it's what do those guys look like? And I do think when people say, "Oh, it doesn't matter," or "This doesn't matter," what these all of it matters. It's all being watched. It's all being judged. Yes, in an ideal world, you'd want context on completions and attempts, and what did this in, what was that in, but. However the information is deciphered, the information all matters. And what these guys look like what they've looked like over the last month, what they're going to look like this week at mandatory minicamp is going to set the table for how Kevin decides to divvy up their snap counts by the time we get to the fall. And summer, quite honestly. It's still summer. But that's when we're going to have a pretty good idea in terms of what this looks like. So, every single thing they've done from the moment those four have walked in here, and Joe, obviously, they know very well. Kenny's been here a long time, but the two rookies in the last month or so, everything they do matters. Every whiteboard session matters. Every team meeting, every position meeting, and certainly every snap matters. And so these next couple of days are going to have massive snaps for those guys that I think are going to set the table for what to expect when we get to training camp for real.
Yeah. Well, and we talked about that a little bit last week. This is establishing the snap counts for the first couple weeks of training camp.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you're playing for snaps.
Yes.
Because once you get to training camp, if you're third or fourth string, your snaps might come in games.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if they're coming in practices, and they're probably not coming when you're in joint practices.
No.
You might get one series if you're a 3 or 4 at training camp practices.
Yep.
I mean, you are playing to start your season off on the right foot.
Yes.
In the next 3 days.
Yep. Yeah. So that's where our eyes will go, and that's where they should go. It's the most important position in sports, and how we decide to do it's going to be interesting.
It'll be 11:30 tomorrow and Wednesday, and I believe 10:45 on Thursday. We'll wrap up a little bit earlier on Thursday.
Okay, so I'll be
school's out, and there'll be a mass exodus.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. All right, we'll go around the league. It's going to be a busy week in the National Football League, and a lot of news in the AFC North. Quite honestly, the daily NFL shows, be it NFL Network or ESPN, wherever's doing them, just camp out in the AFC North because there's a lot of news in this division. We'll get into all of that coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns. Add more fun to your fandom with the Ballybet Sportsbook app. Download today, get 50 back in bonus bets. You place that first wager or 10 or more. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. As we go around the league, Aaron Rodgers' deal is inked. 1 year, $13.65, includes $10 million guaranteed, maximum value of $19.5, $5.85 in playtime and performance incentives. He will wear number 8 in Pittsburgh and will make his debut tomorrow at Minicamp.
He talks after Minicamp tomorrow, too. So we'll have, I'm sure, some audio from him at some point on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think, and I see this Ben Crawford and ESPN, Ben Crawford of CBS and ESPN Schefter with Rodgers was the Steelers' third choice at quarterback. They targeted Matthew Stafford before he re-signed with the Rams and then tried to keep Justin Fields. I'd want to know the details on that because, I mean, I don't know. I'm dubious to that. The Stafford thing, I believe, because that could be a couple of year fix for them for sure. But they could have just played Fields last year and they didn't. So that part I'm not so sure about. I think once, and by the way, I don't know that the Steelers were his first choice. I think he wanted to play in Minnesota. And once that ship had sailed and they were committed to J.J. McCarthy, then if he was going to play football, it was going to be in Pittsburgh. One thing that I'm very curious about, because my hunch is that he's had a steady diet of communication with Pittsburgh, even though this was only official last week as of Friday. My hunch is that he's probably seen the offense. My hunch is they probably know, as I've said many times, I just think that this was kind of known for a long time that he was going to sign there. I think he knew it. I think Pittsburgh knew it. And I'm guessing it won't be like he's a beginner out there. I'm guessing he'll take the first snaps. They're not going to put him behind Mason Rudolph and all that nonsense. Like,
here, Mason.
Yeah.
Sit over there.
Go in the corner.
Why don't you watch?
Go in the corner for a little bit.
Matter of fact, Will, why don't you come over here?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's, and if you hit the lottery ticket with a 6-rounder, that's kind of the hope, is that Rodgers for 1 year and then into Will Howard. And it's funny, though, I've had a lot of Pittsburgh people who just claim that they are not happy about it, which it's hard for me to understand.
About Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah.
Well, they also want Tomlin fired.
Yeah, I guess. And all they do is win every year. Yeah. And I know they haven't won a Super Bowl in a little while, but they win every year. They win 9 or 10 games minimum. It's been a while since they've won a playoff game. We've won one more recently than they have. But at the same time, like, you won 10 games last year with a 2-headed quarterback, and now you're going to have one guy the whole time. And I know he's not what he was in Green Bay, but I still think in an offense where it's a see it, rip it, play action off of the running game, I just think he's still very, very capable. And he was good last year.
We had the conversation earlier when we were putting together the show. Like 29 touchdowns and 10 picks.
Yeah.
You'd sign up for that.
Yeah, you would. Yeah.
He can still play football at a high level. And I think, it's a new system, but I think it's a system that he could probably thrive in. I mean, Arthur Smith, the head coach, we had plenty of fun with.
Yep.
Arthur Smith, the OC, is pretty formidable.
Yeah. Yep. And I think they know what they're going to be. Unfortunately, I just think it makes the division tougher.
Of course it does.
This division didn't
Why
need to
wouldn't
be
it?
any tougher. You also are going to have some drama down in Cincinnati. Hendrickson, I don't anticipate he'll participate in anything. And then Shamar Stewart, who was their first-round pick, is all sorts of odd stuff there where it seems like he wants that guaranteed money up front, and the Bengals are trying to parse it out over years.
Yeah.
So he's not really doing much.
Well, but in fairness to him, and he didn't participate in rookie minicamp or any of that, as an NFL player, you only get paid for the regular season. Your contract, your paychecks only come in season.
Yeah.
So your first paycheck is the Tuesday that you are on the 53-man roster going into week 1.
Yes.
So what if he gets hurt right now?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, the Bengals aren't exactly the organization that I think would compensate you and feel bad for you.
I think that's a fair characterization, yeah.
So there's a part of me that's like, okay, didn't they just cut their linebacker today too?
They did. They cut Jermaine Pratt today. Yeah. He joined the Bengals as a third-round pick in 2019. He was a captain. He actually put out an Instagram photo of him with Trey Hendrickson in the same photo. What's weird to me about that one is, why did they wait till now? Why don't cut him 2 months ago, a month ago? Why now? Why minicamp week?
I don't know. I didn't understand that. But again, I don't think you're in the position to be cutting people defensively.
I don't either, no.
I don't think you're that great.
No, I'm glad they are. Like, if they
Yeah.
can get worse, all the better.
Yep.
One other, speaking of cutting people, the Packers are expected to release quarterback Jair Alexander. Two sides couldn't agree on a restructured contract. In the last 2 years, Alexander missed more games than he has played in, so he's been dinged up. Finished second on the team in pass breakups, interceptions last year, despite playing in only 7 games. Trevor Sikkema with the 6 landing spots from him with PFF: Eagles, Rams, Vikings, Panthers, and Raiders. I feel like good player gets released. Eagles, Rams, Ravens are always in the mix.
Yep.
They just are. It's just places players want to play. There's winning that goes with it. And, yeah, I mean, that makes all the sense. Minnesota's obviously desirable as well. But those are some of the stories that you're going to be paying a lot of attention to. Big picture, you want to see how the rookies look. You want to see what Cam Ward looks like. You want to see what Travis Hunter looks like. Some of those things. The Bears did their mini camp last week, and then the Lions canceled theirs.
There's always a team that does it. The Bengals did that.
Yeah, last year, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah. So you'll see some of that. For teams like ours, though, and a lot of these teams that are whether you're in a transition phase like we are, or whether you're a young team, if you have a young quarterback, I mean, I always get excited for rookies and see how they measure up against veterans this time of year. And then, like I mentioned before the break, if you're NFL Network, you're ESPN, us, the Steelers, and the Bengals.
I mean, Hard Knocks could have rolled out the AFC North for training camp.
It's all there. There's so much around those teams. And quite honestly, us in Pittsburgh are going to be the 2 most talked about places over this week. Are going to be us with the 4 quarterbacks, and then Pittsburgh with Rodgers.
Absolutely.
And when does he talk? Is he going to?
Rodgers is talking tomorrow after practice.
Tomorrow after practice. Okay.
Yes. That's what the Steelers PR staff has put out. So I'm sure that will be a can't-miss event.
Did you make it through Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final? I know you and I were both more excited about the hockey. You made it. Second overtime.
Yes.
I couldn't get there, even
fantastic.
on a Friday. Of course it was.
Well, I had a wedding.
Oh, that's right. So
and then I was done with the wedding. I was awake. I'm like, all right, yeah. The wife went to bed. I was like, great. Stanley Cup. We're at the end of overtime number 1.
Yeah,
even better.
It's probably the best start to a Stanley Cup final ever.
Yeah.
Quite honestly, 2 games. Every period feels like the third period of a Game 7. Both first 2 games went to overtime, and then double overtime in that one. The ratings for it have been kind of around 3 million. NBA had really disappointing ratings with their first one, but they were upwards about almost 9 million, so still 3 times NHL. I don't care. I don't care who wins. I know he's all
I
Mr.
walked in
Indie,
today.
but like I
still
don't.
haven't watched a minute of it.
No, I watched a little last night because I thought I was going to have to talk about it, and it was 50-something to 20-something. I'm like, okay, I don't need to see anything. And I absolutely abhor the state of Indiana. I have absolutely nothing I want to do in Indiana ever. And then I don't love the Oklahoma City Thunder because they should be the Seattle Sonics. So
Correct.
I don't have a rooting interest. And I can't find one. In the NHL, I got a billion storylines that are interesting to me. And in this NBA one, I just don't. I don't have, like, any feeling for it. I don't care who wins. None.
I don't. It couldn't be. See, unlike you, I do like Indiana. I don't like the highway system in Indiana.
You like Indianapolis.
I love Indianapolis.
There you go. You like the combine. You like the Indianapolis NFL scouting combine in Indianapolis.
That's right. It can stay there forever.
I do like the Hoosiers gym. They did a great job there.
Great.
Hinkle Fieldhouse, fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Everything else, go to hell.
Yeah. No, that's about right. I'll keep the Indy 500.
It's fine.
That's him.
It's fine.
Yeah. But I want them to win. Jake Trotter's mad at me. Fine.
You're going for Indy?
Yeah, because they beat us.
Yeah.
So if you lose to the champion, all right.
You feel a little better about things?
Sure.
Mary Kay going to join us in a couple of minutes to get you set for mandatory minicamp. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. All right, second hour, Cleveland Browns Daily. It's presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time to head out on that Twisted Tea hotline to preview Browns' mandatory minicamp. And on the other line of that hotline is the Hall of Famer, Mary Kay Cabot, Cleveland.com. Mary Kay, I don't know you well. I know your work very well, and that is such a well-earned and tremendous honor. Our most heartfelt congratulations. What was that moment like when you got the word?
Oh, my goodness. I was just overcome with emotion. It is such a tremendous honor. I'm very humbled by this, and it had me in those next couple of days reflecting back on all of these years, and I can't believe that it's been so long, and the calendar just keeps flipping and flipping and flipping. But as you know, once you get into these Browns seasons, I mean, it just flies by, and all of a sudden, before you know it, here you are, well into the 30s of covering this football team. And so it's just been a tremendous honor. I've had so many cool things happen since I found out the news, including, this was so cool, I received the nicest handwritten note from Mike Tomlin sent to my home.
Really?
I mean, it was just so nice of him. Yes, so nice of him. And that really meant a lot to me. And that was just one of very many cool things that have happened.
Oh my gosh, that's incredible. And just, yeah, I can't imagine. You're right though. And it's funny. Like I tell folks who aren't in this business like we are, that a football season, you wake up and it's training camp, and then by the time you open your eyes again and get a breath, it's February, and you're at the combine, and you're like, what just happened? Where did the year go? Because there is a perpetual kind of treadmill of it, isn't it? Where the days stack and the years stack, and all of a sudden, here we are another season. Speaking of that, we're at another minicamp.
Well, I went straight from the season to wrapping that up with the press conferences and whatnot to heading off to the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. And then I went to the Super Bowl right after that. Mm-hmm. And then you get home from that, and I went to there's probably something in there that I'm forgetting. I went to the NFL owners meetings in Florida. Then I went straight out to Shador's Colorado Showcase and the Combine. It was just everything, one thing right after another. Then you move into free agency, and then you move into the draft. And all of a sudden, here we are. It was you wake up and it's OTAs, and I can't even believe it. We really have about, I would say, maybe 3 weeks or so.
That's it.
Where we are not like 100% on all the time.
You nailed it. I tell people that all the time. They're like, football season's been over since January. I'm like, it's never over. It's constant. There is no off. Well, we have this mini camp. We got our guys here today, and tomorrow we'll be out on the field. How do you? I mean, we've never had a 4-person quarterback competition before, so this is new for all of us a little bit. How do you watch practice in terms of the quarterbacks? What are you looking for?
Well, I'll tell you, it's interesting that you ask that, because with 4 quarterbacks and 2 different fields of passing drills that are going on, the 2 spotting that's happening in some of the drills, not all the drills, but the modified 7-on-7s and different things like that, you really do have to divide your attention. And what I really need is a golf cart to get around out there. So now that I've made the Hall of Fame, they should have like a little golf cart for me, and I can just, ride around or have somebody drive me around.
I'll see what I can do about that. We'll talk to Frayne to see if we can get you one. I think that's appropriate.
Yes, let's do that. But, you kind of have to run around and make sure that you're seeing everything that you see. And invariably, I'm running over to get to the first set of 11-on-11s, and by then, Joe Flacco has already completed his first long pass. So it is hard to get to see everything that you want to see, and you have to miss some things, because unless you stand in between the fields, which it's possible to do that you can stand on the one end and sort of see both fields pretty well. You can try to do that, but you're still having to look either over there or over there. And I don't get to see every single pass or play the way that I would want to, but we're picking up plenty.
Yeah.
We've only seen 2 OTAs so far, but I feel like I have a pretty good handle on how this thing is going right now.
And what is the handle on how things are going right now from your perspective?
Well, I wrote about this in a column that hit this morning, and that is, if you're looking out there and you're seeing Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel look at times like it's not perfect and they're not completing as many passes, or it looks like they're almost throwing an interception. Those two guys are having so much heaped on their plate right now. Mm-hmm. They're the ones that are sort of being tasked with trying to figure out what's going to work in this new offense and what's not going to work in this new offense. So they're getting the brunt of the install right now. And that's in part because they need to get them up to speed as quickly as possible, but also because those two guys were kind of targeted early on as the two players that the Browns probably have out front right now in terms of winning this competition. And the reason why I say that is because they were acquired earlier in their respective acquisition cycles than the other two, mm-hmm. right? I mean, we know that Kenny Pickett was traded for a month before Joe Flacco was signed, and that Dylan came in the third round, Shedeur in the fifth. So we know that those guys come in with a bit of an edge. It doesn't mean that the other two can't flip the script, but more is going on to the plate of Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel right now than, let's say, than Shedeur. And with Joe, he already knows so much of it, so they don't really have to do that with him as much. They have to get those other two guys ready.
Yeah, it's, Nathan and I have been pretty trying to be pretty transparent with the conversation, because I think one thing that's happening, and I'm sure you're seeing this in your readers or in your social interactions, like everybody wants to talk about Shedeur all of the time, and everything that you just said is exactly on point and exactly what's going on out here. And I feel like from the national perspective, especially, it's getting missed, and I think it's at times misleading the fan base about what's actually going on here. So I think it's really important that you wrote what you wrote, because that's an accurate description of what we've seen in OTAs, not just what's been open to the media, but what we've seen too.
Yes, exactly. And I just heard another set of Shedeur opinions even this morning, and it's just almost kind of funny to me that people from the outside, or the national experts, shall we say, seem to feel like they know exactly how this is going, mm-hmm. and they're not here. We are boots on the ground, and so I think people need to be a little bit careful with who they're putting their faith in right now in terms of how this thing is playing out. Yes, Shedeur looks really, really good with what they're
mm-hmm.
asking him to do. He looks really, really good. But as you probably saw the other day, he was at times on a separate field because he's learning different things. He's coming along at a different pace than some of the other guys. Like I said, with Kenny and Dylan, they're throwing as much at them as humanly possible right now to see what sticks, to see what works, and they're not necessarily doing that with Shedeur right now. With Shedeur, he's on a bit of a different track. He's right now the fourth-team quarterback. He's doing great with what he's being asked to do. Everybody's very, very happy with how he's coming along. Everybody's optimistic about what they're seeing with him, but it's just he's in a little bit of a different category as the fourth-team quarterback, mm-hmm. and maybe not necessarily someone that they are trying to get ready as fast as possible to start on opening day. Not saying that he can't, because he's being given a chance just like everyone else, but he's in a bit of a different category right now.
So beyond the quarterbacks, and obviously that will monopolize a great amount of all of our time over the next couple of days, what else are you curious to see here in the next couple of days?
Well, first of all, I want to see Myles Garrett. We all always want to see Myles Garrett, what he looks like, what he's doing, what he's up to, just because of who he is, and maybe even more so in this set of mandatory minicamp practices, because he's coming off of his big trade demand and his big new contract. And Jim Schwartz put it out there the other day that he expects Myles Garrett to have his best season ever. So the bar is set very, very high for Myles Garrett. So I'm very anxious to see what he's going to come in and do. Now, he doesn't necessarily need a ton of reps, but he does need some, and they need to get him in there for a number of reasons, including getting those offensive linemen ready and giving the quarterbacks a look for what it's like to go against a player of his caliber. So anxious to see how much he's doing, what he's doing, how he's feeling, how he's looking, and also hearing what he has to say. And then same thing kind of with David Njoku. David hasn't been there for OTA, so looking forward to seeing what he's going to be all about. He's coming off of a season in which he had a high ankle sprain and a knee injury. He needs to rebound from that year. And then, of course, Deontay Johnson. I thought that he should have been at OTAs with the situation that he's in. He wasn't there. So now it's time to show up and show everyone what you've got.
Boy, it's so interesting. We were talking about I forgot Deontay's even on this team or signed because we just haven't seen him. You haven't seen him. And, so there's a lot of good stuff. You're the best in the business, and we give you, again, congratulations. First time we've talked to you since the big honor. Really the best. So thank you so much for your time. Greatly appreciate you, Mary Kay.
Oh, sure. Thanks so much for having me. Take care.
There you go. Mary Kay Cabot, the Hall of Famer, Cleveland.com. On the Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea Hotline, official sponsor of your Cleveland Browns. Keep it Twisted, Cleveland.
Deontay Johnson.
We were sitting here talking receivers, Gibby, and I forgot because we haven't seen him.
In fairness, we don't know what it is. We don't know what he is.
No, but I mean,
we've seen the talent.
Seen him.
Is that talent going to be what's here?
Yeah. Yeah, no, we haven't seen him on the field. All right, you're going to get Special Teams Coordinator Bubba Ventrone. We got a little mailbag fun as well. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily. It's presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of Cleveland Browns on 850 ESPN Cleveland. We got some breaking news from the Cleveland Browns Daily. You heard it here first. Cleveland Browns legend Josh Cribbs, 3-time Pro Bowl corner Joe Hayden are going to London this season. Want to know where you can hang out with Josh and Joe across the pond? The only way to do so through the Browns Takeovers presented by True Fan Travel. VIP packages are available, which include a welcome party on the Thames, a double-decker bus of London, 5-night hotel stay, and an ultimate tailgate party, pep rally, and more. Head to browns.com/takeovers. We have some breaking news in studio as well. Z is not here. He welcomed his most recent son, his baby boy, Luca Little Z, and then we had you pull a Z.
I did.
You spilled liquids on a set. This is not in the brochure for you, Gibby.
It is not.
I mean, this is not who you are. You the
I'm
sanctity
trying
of
to
the
work
radio
around
studio.
the microphone.
Sounds like Segura. Like an Segura excuse right there. I'm
was
trying to work around the microphone.
I don't know.
We got no time for excuses.
Yeah.
That
Not
is good.
great.
That was
Not
good.
great.
Right as we
It's
came
on
back,
me.
too.
Literally.
Right as we came back.
I was like, oh, come on.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful. We got to do a little mailbag here, buddy.
We're going to do a little mailbag.
Let's do a little
'cause
mailbag.
We had some Bobby questions.
Oh,
left
Bobby
over.
was throwing heat, man.
Yeah, so I figured we might as well. But I've got a couple other ones.
All right.
Coach Jay tweets at the show, Minicamp's the real test. OTA showed flashes, but tomorrow separates the talk from talent. 4 QBs, 1 job. Let's see who steps up when every rep counts.
Was that a question or a statement?
That was a statement.
I think you should listen to what Mary Kay said. If you don't want to listen to what Z and I say on a daily basis, we just had Mary Kay on. She basically articulated it the way we do, what we've been saying for a month. So listen, that's the real truth of it. The rest of it's a lot of nonsense in terms of what's actually happening around here.
Yeah. Trust me. No, enough from the clown. I will not be charting. That was back in my previous job. I was a charter. And by the way, I never charted until training camp, and it was only 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s.
I don't even mind the. I think the chart. It's all fine. It's no big deal. But I understand there's context.
It gives us
to
something to talk about.
Yeah, and understand there's just context.
Yeah, no, that's. I'm totally fine
Yeah.
with it. It's entertaining to me. Bobby, if you could live in any fictional world, which one would it be?
Fictional world,
Yeah, I don't even know what that means.
like that's
Like Harry Potter, that type of stuff.
that's
that he
it,
was asking.
Kev. I think you're probably right.
I don't know,
I-
Bobby.
I-
why are you
boy,
asking me
I
deep
would tell you-
questions?
I mean, I would not want to live in a Game of Thrones world. That's a lot of blood and beheading. I don't need that.
Backstabbing, literally and
Yeah.
figuratively.
I don't need that. I think I would thrive as an aristocrat in ancient Rome. I think that would be good. I'd be all over that. I feel like that'd be a pretty good way to go about life. Fictional world. Yeah, there's a couple. There's a couple.
Which unusual animal, if any, would you pick as a pet and why?
Bootsy loves the capybaras.
Excuse me?
He loves them. Loves them. Go ahead, Brock.
What do they do? Like what?
That's it.
What is
I
it?
think they just kind of hang out, right?
I think they're
Jordan
useless.
says yes.
Yeah. What do you think?
How do you spell that? Hey, the
looks like
sun's
this.
coming out,
Looks
by
like,
the way.
oh, what is this bright orb? Like one of these guys.
What in the hell?
Capybara.
That
yeah.
looks like something my dog
Look at that.
killed.
Like, wouldn't
Is
that
a
guy be all right?
groundhog?
I don't know. It kind of looks like a human with short legs. I don't even know where they are. Where's a cat? Where are they native? Capybara. He's all over it though. Like he's so excited. We were at they had some of those stuff. Oh, native to South America. Yeah, he was all jacked up by it. He saw some stuffy that was a capybara, and he's, "Can I get it?" Yeah, go ahead. So I guess I'll go capybara. I also think if you could domesticate a lion or a tiger, that'd be pretty cool to have. Think about Buddy Garrity and his most intimidating as a golden retriever, which is like a 4 out of 10. Although for some delivery drivers, it's a 12 out of 10. If you had a Siberian tiger out there,
Sure.
or a lion,
Yeah.
just kind of patrolling the property. Now you're talking.
Go ahead. Come on in.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Take a
Let's
look
see
at
what
that
you
guy.
got. You're
Yeah.
trying to sell me something?
Yeah, look at that guy. Want to clean
Not
the
today,
windows?
you're not.
Ask him if we're interested.
Yep. Besides the city of Pittsburgh, what's the worst smell in the world? It's a good point by you.
Septic tank of a slaughterhouse. I mean, that'd be pretty bad.
I'm assuming you've smelled that.
It's not great.
No, there you go. Okay.
Do they? I don't know if the kids still do it.
Anything septic wise.
Anything septic's pretty bad. Did they do? Do you remember when we were kids and like women and people would do like, and even dudes? I think I got one. I know I got one at one point. Would do like the Ogilvy home perm, and like to make your hair curly. Like when I had a mullet at one point, I remember getting like my aunt gave me like a perm in the back of my head to get like the flow.
This. But yes, I do.
That smell was pretty bad.
Really?
Yeah, that home perm smell was pretty bad smell.
Yep.
To get the curls.
You and a perm. You and a mullet.
Oh,
First
dude,
and foremost.
come on. This was the age of Boz. Everybody had mullets. Middle
have any
school.
hair.
You didn't. Not even in middle school.
No.
What was your hair do in middle school that had you? Not
literally the same haircut for 8 years, thanks to my family. Bowl straight across.
Oh, straight across.
Oh, straight across.
High
no
and tight,
bangs.
or what did you do?
No, like literally, like
straight across, and then
like hair still hair,
like,
but
yeah, there had to be a time when young Gibbe said, "Hey, some little bit of flow in the back. Who gets hurt?"
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure. It's funny. I was cleaning up my parents' place and came across, like they've got all the pictures from every year, and I was like, all right, this is 7 straight years. This is why I couldn't get a date. In middle school, it was not possible. Maybe even into high school. Mayor of Friendville right here. That's right. For Bobby, off topic, but yesterday.
But the others were on topic.
Yeah.
God love Bobby. That's what's so great about him.
Bo wanted to know why Macho Man came out to the graduation song.
Mm-hmm.
It's because one of his wrestling heroes, Gorgeous George, used it. So he wanted to use it. He also had a lot of other themes before WWE, which he then follows up and said, if you had a wrestling theme song, what would it be? I don't know. Like, my favorite song is Ants Marching, Dave Matthews.
It's a great song, but I don't know if you're going to wrestle to that.
Yeah.
That's one of mine favorite, too. Yeah, I don't know. The Macho song's pretty dang good. The Flair song was great. I'd probably just copy somebody. And I don't know what they still do. I don't watch wrestling. I haven't watched wrestling in
maybe
25 years.
Maybe a Dropkick
so
Murphy?
No, that's that song probably when Notre Dame started using that. The shipping up to Boston.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a tone that's set to that. I'm not Irish, nor am I from Boston, so I don't know what sense it would make. A little bit of German ancestry. Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's some metal that Hoff picked up when he was in Munich.
What is your favorite family tradition?
I really love, with my family now, what I love is usually on Father's Day afternoon after the U.S. Open or towards the end of the U.S. Open, the boys and I will go play.
There you go.
That's one that I would
see. We entertain on Father's Day. It's not a day off for me.
Yeah.
Like I've got 22 coming over on Sunday.
Jeez.
Little brat fry. Got all the works going.
Oh, Bootsy's listening, Amy tells me. So he's pretty happy with the capybara. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Kid, I don't know what that is, but
be
careful. Keep your hands away from the mouth.
Ask Beamsy what animal he would pick. In the meantime, while I wait for that as the one that he would like to domesticate and be a pet in our house, Mr. Camtastic, was Iceman actually a good pilot? He seemed to cause more issues for his wingman than the enemy in Top Gun. Yeah, I think he was an excellent pilot. I think it was Maverick that maybe was not the greatest.
Yes.
Yeah. No, I think Iceman, that's very good. But I think Iceman was actually pretty good. I'd have to reinvestigate. Was that his fault that he got into the wash with Goose Mavericks? I can't remember how that all shook out.
It was a little hot shot-ish. Like he got a little he got in a little too far, but then it was not his fault. Remember, he was cleared.
No, Mav was cleared, but was Ice involved in that?
Yes.
That I can't remember. He
Yes.
was involved in some way.
Yes, he wouldn't
haven't
move
seen
out
it.
of the way for the shot, and then he moved, and then the jet wash.
That's what got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That
Yeah.
might be a good job out of you, Camtastic. I'll tell you this. Hangman was the best pilot. and was inexplicably left off the mission, which makes no damn sense.
Correct.
No
So one
sense.
thing from the movie. I'm sure there are a host of other things that.
Not sure you could survive Mach 10, but as the great former Undersecretary of the Navy, the Honorable Thomas Modley told me, it's a movie, Bo. Just enjoy it.
And I did.
Yeah. By the way, Beamsy saying buddy. Well, we already have the dog. You have to something that isn't domesticated already.
That's a smart kid. Play it safe.
Well, that's him, yeah.
Which family from a TV show resembles your own?
I think the Taylors from Friday Night Lights. Coach Taylor, Tammy Taylor.
Okay.
I mean, they only had the one daughter, and then they had the son later. But I think that's a pretty good portrayal of family. That seems to lock in pretty closely. Yeah.
There
I'd
you
with
go.
that one. All right, there you go. There's your mailbag, kids. Good job to you, Bobby, among others. Bubba Ventrone coming up next. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, presented by Belly Bet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time to head from the podium, presented by Vivid Seats. Push your official fan experience package day for the ultimate game day. Here's Special Teams Coordinator Bubba Ventrone.
You're done.
From the Senior Bowl, that were on my team. I don't think we drafted any players that were on my team. We did obviously draft Dylan. No, he was on the other team. He actually generated a pretty good opening drive that they scored on too against us.
Did you have the opportunity to spend any time with him, or were you just with your?
We had interactions down there in passing. I got to know a decent amount of players on both teams. So
When the draft discussions took place, did you contribute to them regarding him?
Oh, regarding Dylan, no.
How was that whole experience for you?
It was a great experience. It really was. First off, it really jump-started the evaluation process for me. Spent a lot of time evaluating the players that were going to be on my team, and then obviously getting to know those guys, see them interact in a team setting amongst their peers in meetings and things like that, practice. You could hear a lot of the communication at practice amongst those guys. So it was definitely a really beneficial tool and resource for me.
So DeAndre Carter.
Yeah.
Tell us about him as a returner. Does he go into this offseason as the number one guy?
Yeah, so I had DC his rookie year. We had him on practice squad in New England, so me and CO were pretty familiar with him. Extremely hard worker, undrafted kid that has a lot of talent and experience. He's done a really good job. He's been a combo returner since he's been in the league. Had a lot of production. Last year he had good production in the kick return game. So, I would say that he's at the top of the depth chart for us right now in both of those phases.
30. Has he got gas in the tank?
He's got gas in the tank. Yeah, if you watch the film from last year, I think that you can see he's got the same type of run style, the same type of mentality that he had, when he had production early in his career. So.
What about Dustin? Obviously, last year he goes through those struggles late in the season. What have your discussions been like with him so far this offseason and during this period?
Yeah, I think with any player, it's a new season. Everything that you've done in the past, obviously those things contribute and matter, but we're clean slate. I feel like he's in a good space mentally. I think that he has hit the ball well in the spring to this point. Had a nice day yesterday, and we're just going to keep working it like we have, and understand that it's a process, and we're going to get to where we're going.
Was he not in a good space mentally last year then, are you saying?
I'm not saying that he wasn't in a good space mentally, but when you're having that many missed kicks, and the results aren't coming, and you're putting in the time and effort, you can be a little bit, inconsistent there relative to the situation. So
Back to ZC for 1 second.
yeah.
Has the return game been a source of frustration to you for 2 years?
I would say we've left too many yards out there. Yeah, I think we've left too many yards out there for sure. I think having consistency at that position is definitely going to help us.
Does that mean having the same guy rather than a group of guys?
Not necessarily the same guy has to do both phases. I think that when one guy is doing both phases, you do have a little bit more consistency.
Well, you got a year now of data from the new kickoff.
Yeah.
How much did that make ease this season in terms in this offseason, sort of how to adjust, what to set things up and all that? Yeah. So we hired a new assistant special teams coach, Kyle Hoke. So we did a lot of research that actually was tag team with, I would say, our analytics department on, the data relative to where the ball's kicked, caught, all that stuff, and then going back and looking at the techniques that go into the play. I feel like we have a much better grasp on how we want to attack that play. So looking forward to applying everything, not only in the OTAs, but obviously moving into training camp and then preseason and the regular season.
Kicking out from the 25, what will be the result of that?
I'm sorry?
Are we kicking off from the 25-yard line now, or what's it moving to?
No, so the only thing that has changed is where the touchback is going to go to. The touchback will now go to the 35. No, the kickoff will stay from the minus 35, and then the touchback moves to the 35-yard line.
What do you think that will result in?
I think ultimately you're going to have a lot more return kicks.
Laurie is a local guy that we saw make some plays as a receiver, but I know he's been working special teams unit for you guys as well. What have you seen from his contributions early on?
I would say, well, the first thing is I think he's done a really good job relative to just giving good looks. He's done a good job. The effort's been good. He's a ball handler. He's got pretty good hands. A little bit smaller of a guy, but he's got good quickness. So he's been receptive to everything we're trying to do.
What gets you? You guys lost a lot of.
No, look, you're interrupting the award winner here now. You can't do that. You kind of there's a hierarchy here now, right? Is that the proper term? Okay. Mary Kay, you got it next. I got you next.
Sorry about that, Daniel. So, what gets you excited and fired up about the fact that that teams are just going to be so much better this year than they were last year?
Yeah, I think that first off, we have some carryover from last season. We developed a good amount of young players that contributed for us. Winston, Buki, guys like that, even guys like Chris Edmonds that are coming back, that have done a good job in the spring. And I would just say the buy-in. I feel like with our whole team, not just the kicking game, I feel the players are bought in on making it harder and just working harder. And I think that our Kevin's done a really good job sending a message on how we need to attack this season, this off-season program, obviously into training camp in the season. But I feel like our whole team, coaching staff understands like what we need to do.
Bubba, you guys lost a lot of contributors on the special team. Came from Rodney to
Anthony.
Who's really next up to kind of fill some of those voids on special teams?
Yeah, I think we're gonna see here once we get into training camp, and we're like truly have competition at every single position pretty much. We have a really good linebacker room, the safety position. There's a lot of guys. There's a lot of opportunity in those positions for the big four. Even at corner, there's a lot of spots that are available. I mean, you lose Mike D Bell; those are two of your top guys, so someone's going to have to step up.
Of the 5 rookie draft picks, not quarterbacks, which will be predominant on special teams?
I think we'll get contributions from all the guys that aren't quarterbacks, honestly, in some capacity. Probably less from Mason than the others, but look, Carson was a walk-on at UCLA, so he's got a 4-phase background. That's what he did. I mean, he was a 4-phase contributor at UCLA, had a lot of production, got opportunities to play defense. So I see that guy being a guy that will play for us, especially early. Harold Fannin didn't have a lot of experience, but things he did at the Senior Bowl were noticeable. So I think that he's got a skill set that we'll be able to work with. And then we signed a good amount of undrafted players that I think that will compete to earn spots. In the 2 running backs, yeah. So we're going to continue to work those guys in the ball handling area. Both of those guys will factor back there. Sampson will do some kick return stuff. Judkins will do some kick return stuff. So.
Well, about a lot of kickers don't survive what Dustin went through last year. So why do you guys have so much faith?
Yeah, I think that he's been consistent in his entire career. He really has. He had a great year in 23. For whatever reason, did not have a great year this past year, and I think that he's put it to bed. And as long as the player is, focused on the task at hand, and I think that he's done that. His preparation, he's in really good shape. He's lean, he's strong. Really don't see any changes in his kicking mechanics, ball elevation, anything. So I feel like he's in a good. I really do. I feel like he's in a good spot.
But just to follow up on that, Bubba, historically, 23 was an outlier for his beyond 50-yard kicks. So was it something special that you guys did that year, or?
No, I don't think so. I think that obviously he connected on them better. He just did. Sometimes it's just like that, you know. Sometimes in sports you get in a little bit of a slump. I mean, there's guys that bat over 300 for their whole careers and get into a slump for a while. I think that we're just trying to find our way out of it.
With Charlie gone now, and you guys bring Rex back, you bring Brent in at long snapper. Like, what do you need to see out of those guys in that position throughout the summer?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things at that position. It's good to have competition at every position, as long as the roster can handle it. We felt like at that position we needed to have some competition. Obviously, snapping is a big evaluation of that position. Ability to protect, ability to cover, all those things will factor into making a decision on that.
You had talked about Kevin just setting the intensity for this offseason and feeling like the guys brought in. Is that a notable difference from this time last year? Do you recognize that it feels different, or does it not?
I think it does feel different. I do. I think it feels different when you finish a season like we did. You know, not really talking about last season, but nobody was happy with how that season played out, and everyone's doing our best to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Would you have been in favor of kicking off from the 30 or even the 25?
I would have been in favor of kicking off from the 30. The thing that I actually wanted was, so now if the ball falls short of the landing zone, if the ball falls short of the 20-yard line, so last year the rules were the ball would be placed at the 40-yard line. If the ball's kicked out of bounds, the ball's placed at the 40-yard line. Now the touchback goes to the 35. If the ball falls short of the landing zone, the ball still goes to the 40. I wanted it to be the 45 or the 50 to discourage any type of like alternative line drive kicks, things like that, because you're really only sacrificing five yards. So I wanted the penalty to be greater. That way the play's clean and it just looks better. So.
Do you expect ball placement be an issue for these kickers? I think we saw last year, like, not a lot of kickers were kicking into the end zone if they were leaving it short, kind of 10 yards short or such. Kind of hard to get in between that in between.
Yeah, no, I don't. I really don't. I don't see it. And to your point, I don't see a lot of this year. I don't see a lot of teams kicking touchbacks, trying to kick the ball into the end zone. I think regardless of what the schemes or the rules are, I think it's hard to return a ball past the 35-yard line. So if you can tackle it inside the 35, it's technically a win. So.
Well, but last year, at some point, you mentioned the two-spot during practice.
Yeah.
You guys have gone to that.
Yeah.
You know, mostly to get the quarterbacks reps. But did you talk to Kevin about the value you see in that?
We've talked about past experiences. Yeah. When I played in San Francisco, we two-spotted quite a bit. And we talked about building a callus on our bodies and being in better condition and better shape. And I think that when you're able to do that, if you have the numbers to do it, and obviously we have 4 quarterbacks now that we're trying to get reps to, but I think that if you're able to handle it, the volume, it enables you to build conditioning amongst your team, and everybody's getting the experience and the reps and the running at the same time. So, look, you can't two-spot every single drill, but I think that'll be something that we'll look at going into camp.
Got time for one more?
Is Deontay someone that can help you in the return game?
Yeah, he's I was actually, this is funny, so 2019 I was at his pro day at Toledo scouting him and another player that I ended up signing in Indy, Ashton Dolan. But yeah, he's had production in his career. He was actually, I think he was a all-pro, second-team all-pro, maybe his rookie season. But super good, like great hands, has really good ability to make miss, quick and fast, good vision. So he'll definitely be a guy that will factor.
All right, so much more to come. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Summer, the Browns Youth Football Camp Series in partnership with University Hospitals. Meet the 2025 Browns rookies. It is June 16th through the 20th. Learn the game, meet the future stars, and have a blast. Go to clevelandbrowns.com/youthfootballcamps25 for more information on that. This will be fun. Minicamp tomorrow.
By 1 o'clock, we will have things to tell you.
It's gonna be
Gerard
fun.
Cherry will join us. Siciliano in studio.
Oh, he's coming back?
Everybody, we got players in
Oh,
studio
my
tomorrow.
God.
Yeah, the whole band.
The band is sort of, and
Segura, go be with Luca.
Little Z, man. Little Z in the mix. It's awesome. So this will be fun. So we've got mandatory minicamp the next 3 days that we'll keep you up to date on all sorts of availabilities, player interviews, bringing in the heavy hitters. Siciliano coming in from the West Coast, so that's very good. Gerard as well. So a lot of expertise. And really, this will be fun, but also it's really critical for the quarterbacks.
Absolutely.
Every piece, every step matters. All of it matters as we build towards a starting quarterback in 2025.
We might actually have good weather, too, for it, even though it just
at this point,
rained sideways for the last 15 minutes.
I heard comedian Burt Kreischer say Ohio's his favorite state in the Union. He says it's the best state in the Union, and he's a guy who went to Florida State. I'm like, dude, come here in the spring, then see if you feel that way.
Come here in February when the sun doesn't come out.
When were you here? September? It's great in September.
For 4 or 5 months out of the year.
We
It's an
crushed
amazing
September. All right, Next Level's coming up next. We're back tomorrow. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily presented by Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns.